Hello, everyone. I'm Greg Weaver. Welcome to the Audio Analyst. Pardon me. Before we get into today's recap of this most unusual year, I want to thank all of my current subscribers and remind new viewers that if you are enjoying these conversations, if you find any merit or value in the information I'm sharing here, please be sure to subscribe, like, and share links to your favorite episodes with your friends. And please, leave your comments and questions, guys. I love hearing from you. Now, should you wish to take a more active role in supporting the channel, and in the process receive exclusive access and content, I hope you will consider becoming a patron. You will find a wide range of Patreon subscription levels available to meet any budget or level of generosity. And if a one-time donation makes more sense for you using Patreon, PayPal, or Venmo, I've provided the necessary information in the comments section. Guys, please understand, your support at any level that's comfortable for you ensures the continued production of these conversations and is sincerely appreciated. Now, this past year, 2020, will go down in the annals of history, certainly in American history, as one of the oddest and most challenging on record. Early in the year, there were the devastating Australian bushfires, which destroyed a record 47 million acres and displaced thousands, and took at least 34 lives. Then we had the deadly wildfires that erupted this fall from California to Washington state, burning millions of acres and displacing hundreds of thousands of people. Then, too, an unlikely film, Parasite, a South Korean black comedy thriller, swept the Academy Awards, collecting 6 statues, marking the first time in Oscar's 90-plus year history that a non-English language movie won Best Picture. Crazy. Disgraced Hollywood filmmaker Harvey Weinstein was convicted, a verdict that was a watershed moment for the Me Too movement. And the police-involved killings of George Floyd, Ahmaud Arbery, and Breonna Taylor fueled waves of Black Lives Matter demonstrations and riots around the world, appealing for an end to police brutality and racial injustice. Also, Chadwick Boseman, the remarkable young actor from such successful and superb films as 42, Get On Up, and Black Panther, was lost to us after a 4-year struggle with colon cancer, as well as were U.S. Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg and guitar virtuoso Edward Lodewijk Van Halen. Machete. Then, of course, there was the circus here in the United States that we referred to as the 2020 presidential election. Now, one of the more interesting aspects of that spectacle was that the Democratic presidential candidate, Joe Biden, selected Kamala Harris as his running mate, making her the first woman of African American and Asian heritage to run on a major party's presidential ticket. But the clear elephant in the room, the COVID-19 virus pandemic, has to this point spread across the globe to more than 20 million people, resulting in over 750,000 deaths, nearly 280,000 of which were in the United States. And that pandemic soon triggered a global recession that set a Dow Jones Industrial Average record, suffering its worst single-day point drop ever. There were so many more. The announcement of the arrival of murder hornets in the United States. That massive explosion in the port of Beirut that took 190 lives and injured thousands of more people. So, Without making light of any of these other remarkable events over the course of this year, I'd also like to point out that 2020 saw the launch of my YouTube channel, The Audio Analyst. Now, the truth of the matter is that this channel is something I had been talking about and putting off for nearly 2 years. I had mentioned it to any number of my colleagues and had been honored to have been receiving their encouragement and reassurances for nearly that entire time. But it was the pandemic lockdown that actually forced my hand. I no longer had any good excuses for putting it off. So on Mother's Day, May 10th, 2020, I released the first of what, with today's release, will mark 30 videos. In that first episode, I shared a broad overview of my nearly lifelong audio journey, so as to make it understandable and clear as to why I was both compelled and qualified to create and share such content. Now, to this point, I've released essentially 4 types of videos. Editorials, like my personal audio industry history or my defense of the hyper audio market. Instructional episodes, like those on understanding and managing your listening room or how to get the best from your dynamic loudspeaker setup. Guilty treasure music reviews, like those on the 1972 Schulte Beethoven's Ninth or Roger Waters' Amused to Death. And hardware reviews, like those on the von Schweikert Audio Ultra 9 loudspeakers or the Kronos Sparta analog front end. Now, the most watched of the editorials, by far, was episode 1, Who is the Audio Analyst?, with nearly 2,000 views. I felt it made sense to start with my voyage and history in this industry so that people can understand that I had earned my place here as a veteran industry expert and authoritative and knowledgeable content provider. Having spent nearly 50 years in and around this industry, at virtually all levels, starting out as a hobbyist, moving into retailing, then managing salons, earning a degree in electronics, as a journalist, reviewer, and/or editor for half a dozen of the most prestigious print and internet publications in the Western Hemisphere, even as a designer of high-performance audio cables. I'm clearly qualified to tackle matters that relate to high-performance audio and share them in ways meant to enlighten and hopefully entertain all who take the time to drop in. Now, believe me, there will be many more tales from my journey to come, as I will be sharing learning experiences and other magical moments like episode 21, where I related the serendipitous circumstances which led to my seeing Miles Davis in a small jazz club in Pittsburgh in the early 1970s. One story I almost certainly will share will be that of hearing violin virtuoso Jascha Heifetz play his Stradivarius from 8th row center when I was in 8th grade. What a completely and utterly unforgettable experience. I'm very happy to have received such gracious and positive feedback on the instructional videos, as I honestly feel that is an arena where I can have the widest positive impact on viewers, helping them maximize the performance of their own audio gear in their own environments. Now, interestingly, the 2-part series, episodes 4 and 5, on understanding and maximizing the performance of the most overlooked and ignored component in any system, regardless of price, the listening room, were very close as the leaders in that category, both with over 1,000 views each. Now, believe me, as I am able to conceptualize and build more of these educational episodes, they will appear here. But guys, I'm very methodical about them. I don't want to bite off more than I can chew in a reasonable time frame, say the 20 or so minute limit I've been trying to adhere to. Now, I'll admit to being a bit surprised, though happily so, to see that of my guilty treasures, episode 2, the exploration of the 1972 London Decca Beethoven's Ninth Symphony, as performed by the Chicago Symphony Orchestra and Chorus under Sir George Schulte, and recorded in the Great Hall of Krannert Center for the Performing Arts at the University of Illinois in Urbana-Champaign, had garnered the most views at about 1,000. Now, this recording, in particular the 1981 Mobile Fidelity remaster and reissue, to my ears, captures both the most engaging performance — Scholte's tempo from start to finish is just flawless — and offers staggeringly honest and system-challenging sonics. Guys, this is a recording you can use to show off or to evaluate your system. Honestly, these seem to be some of the more popular episodes. And though I have always intended to write more of these for the print world, they just seem to be so perfect for the video treatment. So expect to see guilty treasures on records like Steely Dan's Asia and Peter Gabriel's So to come real soon, guys. And while most of the Guilty Treasure episodes are meant to share great music that is extremely well recorded, I'm soon going to be venturing off into records that, while they may not enjoy the highest production qualities, are some of my favorite music. What If by the Dixie Dregs would be a clear candidate for one such episode. Now, of the hardware reviews, the Mola Mola Tambaki DAC, episode 13, narrowly bested my review of the Von Schweikert Audio Ultra 9s by only about 100 views, racking up just shy of 2,000 watches. Now, I'll have plenty more reviews coming soon as we move into the new year. The first of which will likely be the overachieving i5 Pro iDSD DAC. I bought the bloody thing. It's so good. With last week's episode, I introduced the first of a new category of episodes that will soon begin to burgeon: the conversational interview. The reception of episode 29, my interview with Leif Swanson, Von Schweikert Audio's chief designer, guys, was overwhelmingly positive. In fact, I'd like to share 2 comments with you about that interview, which some of you may have foregone given its 1 hour plus running time. Okay. So first, from longtime subscriber Hi-Res Audio Costa. This content was really, really interesting. I really liked the explanation of spherical radiation patterns as well as the phase relation in the dispersion patterns. Such a cool concept, great stories. Then there was this comment from yet another long-term subscriber, Marcus. Greg, you know I normally tend to watch your videos pretty much as they launch. But when I read the title and saw the runtime, I thought, save that to watch later. Now, I'm about 33 minutes in, and it's riveting, ridiculously watchable. The interview style is so natural, off the cuff, and packed with retelling of special moments. Exceptional. Bravo. Thank you, guys. I really appreciate the feedback. Now, given this pandemic, I can assure you that there will be many more conversational interviews like this one to come. In fact, I'm lining them up as you're watching this. And though it may be difficult, I've promised myself that I will try to keep them to my established 20 to 25 minute viewing length, even if I have to break them down into shorter segments to do so. Now, finally, once this damn pandemic is behind us and we can start gathering again as an industry, and hopefully get back to having local, regional, national, and international audio shows and events, I'll be taking you with me on exclusive tours of some of the best sounding rooms to be found, and introducing you to some of the brightest, most gifted designers in the industry. Now, on that front, Lou Hinckley, along with Gary Gill of Capital Audio Fest fame, have set the inaugural Pacific Audio Fest for July 30th through August 1st, 2021 at the Doubletree Hilton SeaTac in Seattle, Washington. Now, if all the rumblings and plans for COVID-19 vaccines I heard this past week are for real, and they materialize by early 2021, That just may be the first big audio show post-pandemic. Lou, buddy, I'm keeping my fingers crossed that I can buy you a drink in Seattle at the end of July. Hope to see you there. You know, Exponent announced in early October their plan to move from a spring show, traditionally just weeks before Munich, to their new fall dates of August 27th through the 29th, staying at the beautiful and expansive Renaissance Schaumburg Hotel and Convention Center in Schaumburg, Illinois. Now, further, Expona's vice president and event director, Liz Miller-Smith, is planning a host of Expona-sponsored webinar events starting early in 2021. And in fact, has asked me to moderate the first one, which will be a loudspeaker designer roundtable with some really gifted designers. I'm not going to spoil it. I'll leave it to her and her team to share those details with you once the date is finalized. But it should be sometime in mid-January 2021. So keep an eye out for that. And the wonderful Munich High-End Show has decided that it may be wiser and safer to move what has become the largest, most amazing, and most important audio expo on planet Earth from May, as they had originally announced, to the fall as well, with dates of September 9th through the 12th, announced 2 weeks ago. Now, I'm really hoping that the Munich event happens so that I can spend some extra time in Germany and maybe even in Switzerland or the Netherlands, so that I can take you on some factory tours of some of the finest high-fidelity equipment manufacturers in the world. I can assure you that if air travel becomes acceptably safe by those dates, and any or all of these events happen, you will have an all-access pass as I take you on a guided tour of each of those events. Should be a blast, guys. I can't wait. I hope it all works out. As always, thank you for taking the time to drop by and visit today. Please remember to subscribe and to like and share your favorite episodes, as well as to post your comments and questions. I love to hear from you. Please, guys, stay safe in this most unusual of times and keep the music playing, won't you? Till next week, cheers.